Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you're new. I am the Stepson of Krypton. Coming to you today for Fight Month, we have Superman versus Captain Atom. I am extremely excited to get into this one. Guys, I'm sorry, I know you guys hate the glasses and such, but my eyes are hurting so bad today. And with these lights, I can't, but we'll get through it. We'll get through the comic here. We do have a lot to discuss because this issue is a bit longer than normal, so let's just jump on in. All right, guys. So this issue opens up, and we get like kind of an ultra quick backstory on good old Captain Nathaniel Adam. And for those of you who may not be familiar with Captain Adam, kind of a super quick bio. He was an Air Force pilot. He ends up getting framed for treason, and he signs up for this secret government project to avoid getting in trouble that involved testing an alien metal against a nuclear explosion. And it is that explosion that then causes the alien, it's an organic metal, to bond to him, and it connects him to the quantum field that gives him his powers. Yeah. But while he's been called a hero, a weapon, there's one thing he has never been called: a god. And we get this dual page shot of Captain Atom just floating out there in the nothingness, kind of waiting for the next round to start here. And he's talking about the bad rap that Adams get, mainly because they make up everything. Oh, okay, I know that was a stupid dad joke. I'm sorry. But Captain believes this is his true destiny. Because if keep in mind, the heart showed everyone the future that they could create if they get the Omega power. However, we're back at the center of the Earth there, and Captain's getting scolded by Superman. If you remember from the previous KO event, KO number 2 there, where everybody was racing around trying to find the 16 powerful weapons, Captain Atom took out Supergirl. But Clark kind of forgets that they're fighting in a tournament to the death to prove who is going to basically be like Darkseid. So I don't know what Supes thought was going to happen. And Cap explains to Superman that, he got to remember he was down, hand cut off. He had kryptonite shards in him. The bad guys were starting to win. Lex was getting ready to win. He had summoned the old gods that Darkseid had defeated. And, he did what he had to do. And like Batman had told him in a previous issue, that he needs to get his head in the game. And I like in this that we see Captain Atom. He's still respecting Superman even after being scolded by him because he's the sir, yes sir, always the good soldier. But remember though, you have to be like Darkseid, and that's what Nathaniel did. And this is why he thinks he's going to win, no matter who he has to fight. From Limbo to Metropolis, the heart is just teleporting people around, and this disembodied voice saying,
Captain Atom, Superman. To advance to the next level, you must engage in a contest of hand-to-hand combat.
And the captain isn't happy about the Soup's home court advantage being in Metropolis, while Superman is still kind of preaching restraint and having enough of it. Captain immediately charges up, ready for that first blow. It is literally Mortal Kombat as the heart tells them that they must fight. The 2 of 3 wins the battle, with a little twist though. Whomever loses the round can choose their next form to ensure victory. Clark hears the sound of real people. Now, keep in mind, the heart can create universes. So these are actual people. And a full on brawl with these two in the center of Metropolis is going to cause heavy civilian casualties. But the captain is planning to win. In the next 2-page shot, we see where Captain Atom had hit Superman and the force with which he hit him, sending him into a building, just destroying it and sending him through subsequent buildings. And hopefully Soup knows it hurt Nathaniel as much as it did Superman. Again, Superman argues against Captain Atom because he is sacrificing real people, which, Cap doesn't really agree with him, saying that, it's debatable.
Well, that's debatable.
And the beating continues. Finally, Superman makes a power move, sending Captain smashing down, and Cap reminds Soups that they have fought before. Now, which kind of quick side note here, a great Captain Atom Superman fight is the Justice League Unlimited animated series. If you will go to season 2, and it's episode 10, it's called Flashpoint, where the two of them fight, and it's a good representation of them kind of holding back on one another because they're fighting down there in like lower levels of Cadmus Labs there, where here they can't show mercy, but Soups will find another way. Captain Adam's kind of growing annoyed with Superman, not seeming to respect what is at stake, and decides to give Superman his good old special combo punch made up of red solar energy and kryptonite radiation. Now, for those who aren't as familiar with, the character, Captain Atom, in certain comic runs, he has been able to create kryptonite. His ability to tap into the quantum field gives him, atomic transmutation. However, it's not really like Metamorpho, who can actually change his body into different elements like kryptonite, like we saw in the movie. But his is more recreating or creating the energy radiation that the kryptonite gives off. However, Superman still doesn't believe Nathaniel has it in him to kill him in cold blood. But Cap is holding on to some anger, thinking about every time his suit has been breached. He explodes because he can't contain the energy. And speaking of energy, it seems Cap thinks Soup has too much of it and is going to take it from him. And also, bear in mind, Superman never really wanted to join the tournament, anyways. So Cap is just kind of helping him fix the problem. Round one, Captain Atom. And he can feel the Omega energy in his body. Having never felt power like that before, he now can save the world and stop Darkseid. Superman is back to the character selection screen, but he's starting to have doubts about Captain Atom. Is he just wanting the power for himself? Because he seems to have little regard for anyone anymore. But, I mean, isn't that the point? So, being strategic, they both have to now consider the next form they will choose to ensure victory. And Superman has a plan. And his choice is, boom, we see Captain Atom in his Monarch form, a beefier, more powerful version of his normal self, who was, he's out to control all of reality. He went and absorbed all the different versions of himself kind of throughout the multiverse. However, Superman chooses a form that has defeated Monarch, and that form is Superman Prime. Or some might know, there's been also that form's been called Superman 1,000,000. Remember, that Superman spent 15,000 years inside Sol, our star, and gained basically godlike power, considered one of the most powerful versions of Superman in all of comics. I noticed I said one of the most, not the most. So, and these two have fought once in the countdown to Final Crisis, and they actually, Superman with his heat vision, damaged the source wall, which kind of separates the entire DC multiverse from the source. However, this time we are in Nathaniel's hometown, but Cap doesn't look at this as a disadvantage. It's motivation for him to protect the ones he loves by winning. But within an instant, Superman is off and is at the sun, presumably to harness more solar radiation. At least that's what Captain Atom thinks. And with Superman freezes the sun. And with no heat, Captain Atom freezes. You got to kind of remember from your physics class there, atoms, and you didn't deal with quantum fields probably, or hope not, but atoms and quantum fields, they slow down in extreme cold. And Superman has actually calculated the amount of power he would need to pull this off, leaving him just enough power to outlast Captain Atom. So, round two, Superman wins. And back at the character select screen, Superman is still trying to plead with Captain Atom to not lose himself to the Omega power he felt, as Superman has now felt it too. But the captain's kind of already formulated his new plan for victory in the third round. Captain Atom has chosen all of his forms as his next one. He is all of them put together. Now, this seems like a cheat, and if you're kind of following Mantis with the night fight with Batman, he kind of cheated death, and the heart proves that it does not seem to care for that too much. It does not like to be cheated. So I'd check that out if you haven't watched it yet. It's good stuff. But Cap has a different plan. This time, he's going to the Game Master. He's going to the heart itself. But what form did Superman choose this time? Maybe Cosmic Armor Superman? Silver Age Superman? He chose himself. kind of after seeing what it just did in the last fight, he isn't going to lose himself to this place. But Cap is going on a little power mad, and he goes for the Heart of Apocalypse itself. Now the heart is pissed. It begins cracking Captain Adam's reality, literally pushing him back through his own timeline. And even through all of it, he still seems drunk on power, thinking he can win. Nathaniel has been shown what the world could be if he holds the Omega power. A world where soldiers aren't needed, where he has control over his own future for once. But just like we saw Lex in the last KO event, he too believes Superman is just going to put everything back to how it was before all of this started, instead of trying to make things better for everyone. But Superman believes it's not right to tell everyone what the world should be. And kind of keep in mind, he has enough power to already do that if he wanted to. Cap won't hear it, and he knows what this will do to his history. Cap is willing to sacrifice his history to keep everyone safe. Probably thinking that if he gets the Omega power, he can just restore it, right? And in this kind of purgatory broken field they're falling through, he decides to send Supes an origin bomb. So now it looks like Superman is being torn apart. Captain Atom thinks he has won, the world will be his. Kind of spoken like a true Darkseid. But not quite. Superman wasn't killed. Instead, his powers were combined with Captain Atom's, and now he too is silver and ready to kick some ass. They fight. Superman uses Cap's technique against him, draining him of his power, and he breaches the suit, which leaves him to explode and be lost in time and space. Sorry, Captain Atom. Victory. But at what cost? Captain Atom is very honorable, duty-bound, and even someone like him was corrupted by the Omega energy. So what does that mean for Superman? But it's time to prepare for the next round. Now, we kind of do a crazy shift back to the Watchtower. It's, completely different story. If you remember where we left off before, we had just learned that Booster was Darkseid, and he's getting ready to make his appearance in the tournament. So, time is beginning to speed up again because now that Booster is not helping and Time Trapper is no longer kind of keeping it slowed down, it is beginning to speed up, and we see Booster, and he's just choking the life out of Doomsday. And with that, he kind of throws Time Trapper out of the Watchtower. How did he think a monster like him would ever challenge a god?
There is no path to a future that is not Darkseid's.
And that's where the issue ends. Next, we're going to have Aquaman 12 and the DCKO Wonder Woman versus Lobo. All right, guys, that is where this issue ends. I thought this was my favorite so far. They are two of my favorite characters. And I'd love to, like I said, go check out that Justice League Unlimited animated series episode if you want to see a really good fight between them. I'm excited for now we're starting to finally pick up. Now we're getting through some of the fights. Like the Wonder Woman Lobo is going to be kind of awesome. Let me know how you're feeling about it down in the comments. Who are you most excited to see fight? And while you're doing that, you might as well, if you're still here, give this video a like, subscribing to the channel, and having the bell notifications clicked. That way you will get alerted as we continue to release these videos because they are coming so fast. Giggity. We are literally going to rapid fire them out almost daily just to get them all out. So we're not too far behind in the release order here, guys. And to keep this video as short as is humanly possible, I know there's a lot of information to get through. That is going to wrap it for me on this episode of You, Me, and DC. Until next time, guys, I'll see you then.